Welcome to the Celeb Poker Fast and Furious Challenge. We have 4 players ready to battle it out for supremacy. The first of them, that is Brian McFadden. Once in a boy band, he'll want to prove that he can play a man's game on the green baize. Next to him in seat 2, Paul Martin, the cocktail waiter and online player. He'll want to mix things up from the start. Then there is Kalpesh Patel, another online expert. He's representing the TGF team. And finally, Kate Sherameta. She's a psychology student and she teaches poker for money. Now, Roy the boy, is Brian McFadden being thrown to the lions here?
No, absolutely not. I've played with Brian in Dublin. He appeared on the scene there about 15 months ago. He's improving all the time and certainly one of those guys that has some sort of card sense about him. But Kate Sherameta in seat 4, a very interesting contender, probably got the most experience of this lineup. And of course, she went very deep into the European Ladies Championship on Sky Sport just a few weeks ago.
Tonight we're playing No Limit Texas Hold'em. Each player starts by being dealt 2 hole cards which only they can see, after which there's a round of betting. As the game progresses, 5 more cards will be dealt into the middle of the baize, which every player can use in combination with their hole cards to make the best possible poker hand. But of course, the rounds of betting are crucial. Put enough chips in the middle and you can scare off your opponents, no matter how good or bad your cards are. The rules of the Fast and Furious Challenge are simple. There are 4 players at the table. Each player has a maximum of 30 seconds to act, or their hand will be declared dead by the tournament director. The winner of each heat will progress to the final table. The button is on. Brian McFadden, the blinds 50 and 100. Each player starts with 6,000 chips, so plenty of play in this. And it is going to be Kate Sherameta to kick things off. She has a 5-2 offsuit, and those go straight in the shredder.
Call.
Brian elects to limp in with his 10-7 suited. You'll see a lot of this when the blinds are low.
Well, possibly a raise coming from the cocktail waiter Paul Martin.
Call.
Just a flat call.
Surely
King
No
Jack.
raise.
he should change his name to Paul Martini under the circumstances.
I like the way you're always looking for the edge. Here comes a flop. Who will that give an edge to? Well, they are low cards. There's a gut shot draw for Kalpesh.
And that means a 5 needed.
Also Brian McFadden, but Kalpesh's 8 would give him a better
250.
hand.
Brian McFadden coming out firing with absolutely nothing, and it's a brilliant bet because it will get through. And he will make the worst hand, 15% outsider, clear favourite, courtesy of that bet.
Well, he has to negotiate Kalpesh, who's giving him a sideways look. But you're right, McFadden's aggression has paid off. Looks like a boy band member, plays poker like a punk rocker.
When I started, when I was in friends' houses and stuff like that, used to have games, just quiet games on a Saturday night, and then obviously the whole poker craze happened. So then they started having competitions in pubs and clubs and stuff like that, and I started playing in them. And then I think I won the tournament about 2 years ago. And when I won that, then I got the real buzz for it. So I pretty much play 3-4 times a week now. I love it. I prefer when there's less people, when there's 4, because then you can start playing with bad hands. And if people aren't used to playing with smaller numbers, that's when they start kind of waiting for the big hands. But I think the key with a 4-seater game is that you pretty much have to play with half decent hands. You don't have to wait for the big ones. So if they're not used to playing 4-seaters, it could be to my advantage, because I'm used to that and I like playing that. I like playing cards like Jack 5 suited and stuff like that. You confuse people. It's my first time playing on TV, so to me it's fun, because obviously singing and doing interviews pretty much half of my life now. The cameras don't faze me, so I think that's one advantage I'll have over the other 3, is that they'll be trying to concentrate on their cards, but it'll also be in the back of their mind that there's a lot of people watching them, whereas to me I can shut that off and just concentrate on the cards. They used to say that if you wanted to ever meet a celebrity or meet a famous sports star or a movie actor or something, the places to go were like the big clubs or the premieres. It's just funny now, you walk into any casino or club in London or Dublin and you sit down and you just look around, you just see the amount of people that to be sitting beside you playing. It's probably the poker now, and online as well. It's just the best way to, if you ever want to meet someone famous, it's the way to do it. I've even been stumbled by some of the people I've seen playing. people like Ben Affleck and stuff. You're just like, it's mad. You're just sitting there playing. It's crazy.
Cards once more in the air, and this time it will be Brian with the decision to make.
Call.
Call.
Limping in with the ace-7 offsuit. Paul Martin, well,
Raise.
he's got the
Raise.
same hairstyle as Kojak.
300 total.
King-Jack offsuit.
Bit of an unconventional
Pass.
limp in by Brian McFadden there. You would expect a player to raise with an ace.
Pass.
Yeah, four-handed. A rag ace is significantly more
Call.
powerful than it would be in most games.
He has the best of it here, but he's got absolutely no idea what his opponent has. He basically is praying for an ace and a 7 and another ace.
Well,
it's too good.
I think we can say that Brian McFadden
Check.
has been living right. Was that a suspiciously fast check, though?
Well, he needs to check this till the cows come home. And a bet here needs to be only called and not raised.
Yeah.
600.
A reluctant call would look good.
Well, we know he can sing. Can he act? Because the trick here is to look pretty doubtful and miserable. He's doing a good job with the chin stroking.
Call.
And just a flat call. Beautifully done by Brian.
Yep, now whatever comes next might warrant a very small bet or a check.
A king or a jack could get Martin into trouble. Once again, McFadden should slow play this.
400.
Yeah, that's a small
400.
bet, 400 into a near 2,000 pot. He's got the right idea, but Paul Martin has so little of this. He really daren't raise, and he certainly can't call.
Raise.
Oh, wow.
He's come back over the top, and this is music to the ears
Be multiples
of the
of
Westlife star.
No, it can be.
Well, it's not music to the ears of
400
Poke and Heaven
over.
and
So the minimum
Paul
bet
Martin's
would be
teammates.
8 or higher.
Okay.
Okay.
He has announced
12.
a raise.
Yeah. Okay.
Raise to 1200 total. 8 to call.
Just a flat call, or should he go on over the top now?
Well, Brian might consider now that his opponent has an ace, and obviously he thinks he's got the best of it with his full house. So if he thinks his opponent has an ace, he'll move all in and expect to get called. Little does he know that Paul
Call.
Martin's got absolutely nothing, just a king
8
high.
to call.
He's called again. I like his play. And another small bet on the end, I suspect.
River card, and there are fireworks already in the Fast and Furious. What will it be? It's a jack. That's a trouble card for Paul Martin.
Paul Martin now knows that Brian McFadden has an ace. Make
Check.
no mistake.
Check.
Yeah, check,
Okay,
check.
hands, please.
He knew when the raise was called that he certainly had an ace. He didn't realise he had a full house.
Well, would you have liked to see a little value bet there from Brian?
Possibly a sucker bet, a very small one. Another 400 or 500 would have got called, but it's all conjecture, isn't it? At the end of the day, the up and down of it is Paul Martin has shot himself clearly, plainly in the big toe.
More fireworks in order now. The button is on Kalpesh, and it's going to be the slightly wounded Paul Martin to have another crack. What is he going to do with these cards? Just got into trouble with King Jack. He has another king, but with it a lowly 2.
Well, how would that affect his game? Would his head be
Pass.
wrecked? Would he slow right down, become timid? Or would he come out like a man inspired, hoping to get his
Raise,
chips back as
300
quickly as
total.
possible?
Pass.
Well, we have ace rag against ace rag.
Call.
There it is, an ace-3 for Brian McFadden.
Well, this time it is Kalpesh who has flopped a monster.
And Brian is going to come out firing.
600.
It's a good bet. He's going to get a lot of information out of this, which will probably be just a call.
Well, could it be a case of easy come, easy go for Brian McFadden? Just won a huge
Call.
pot.
Now, just a call. Brian McFadden now needs to accept that his opponent has some kind of hand, which is clearly beating ace-3, and this is where he should slow right down. If he does, I've got to say I'll be very impressed with his game so far.
Well, he won't be tempted by that jack. Oh, he is making a reach for chips.
2,000.
2000.
2,000.
Huge aggression.
Well, Brian McFadden, who played his monstrous hand so well, is showing no mercy here when he's got the worst of it and in a desperate spot. I suspect Kalpesh is not passing.
I'll call.
Call.
He thought long and hard, and hopefully that will prompt Brian McFadden to do a bit of thinking. He's throwing good chips after bad at the moment.
But at the end of the day, he knows the only way he can win is by a stonking crate bat on the end. Now, will he swallow
All in.
humble pie? No, he's done
He's got,
himself.
well, Kalpesh, this will be the longest nanosecond of his life.
Call.
He's got quad
Play
fives.
cards, please, gentlemen.
That works.
Whoosh.
Yes, 4 of a kind is best. By some considerable way, and Brian McFadden, the man with the 3-barreled shotgun, betted it once, betted it again, and stuck the lot in on the end.
Well, you cannot fault Brian McFadden for his aggression, but he really didn't compute the data
29.50.
that was coming to him across the green base from Kalpesh Patel, and it's a good job he won that first hand, because he is now short-stacked. Well, there have been fireworks on this table, and we can see that the leaderboard, well, Patel way ahead, got nearly half the chips on the table. Kate Sherameta, she has stayed in the trenches and out of harm, but Martin and McFadden, well, they're in trouble already, Roy.
Well, 2 big hands, quite simply. Paul Martin donated chips to Brian McFadden, who in turn donated them to Kalpesh Patel.
Still 4 players at the celebpoker.com Fast and Furious Challenge, and the action has been fast and furious. Chips shoveling around the table in all sorts of directions, but mainly to Kalpesh Patel. Paul Martin doesn't
Pass.
have a lot of chips in front of him, but here is our chip leader. Jack 9 offsuit.
Raise. 200 more, 3 total.
He bumps it up, but he has walked
Call.
in to ace 10 suited in front of Kate Sherameta, and she says, I'll have a look.
Yeah, interesting, she's just calling and not raising. She could have ended this one by now. As it is, she's gone behind.
Check.
A pair of
Check.
knaves for Patel.
And Patel setting a trap here, trying to look meek when he's got a big pair. They will both appreciate that changes nothing. Kalpesh could afford another check here.
300.
Now he elects to bet.
Does Kate believe her ace
Raise.
is
7
good?
more, 1,000 total.
Well, not only does she believe it's good, she believes it is practically unbeatable, because she has come over the top.
Doesn't necessarily believe that, Grub. She might just believe the only way I can win this pot now is by raising here and making my opponent pass. I don't think Kalpesh is going to pass.
Call.
In his mind, he set a trap, and he set it well.
Well, it needs to be an ace now to get Kate Sherameta out of trouble.
10 could be a trouble card. 6 changes nothing.
She has missed by a country mile, so one hopes she will get out of this.
I don't think Kalpesh is going to pass to a bet on the end.
$1,200.
Interesting bet. If he checks, Kate bets, and he has to call. If he bets, Kate really cannot raise.
She has 20 seconds left to think about this.
Get you next time.
And she says, I'll get you next time.
I played Heads Up in Barcelona, which is pretty fast, but I haven't played the Fast and Furious 30-second clock thing before, so it will be a new experience for me. It's going to be exciting, it's going to be a little bit scary, because normally I don't get nervous, but this might be a bit of added pressure for me, because like I said, I've never played in this sort of format before. Play aggressively, much more aggressively than I would do, and a little looser as well.
200 to play.
Action is going to be on Paul Martin. He's having a good look at these cards. He's got 30 seconds to play them. Well, he's not going to need 30 seconds to know what to do with these cards. He ain't going to fold them.
I'll raise.
He hasn't got slow play in his MO, has he?
Raise. 600.
Just every now and again you've got to mix your game up a bit, and that could have been a spot just to call and set a bit of a trap.
Well, Kalpesh, I don't think is going to fall into anything, but Kate Sherameta, she is lying in wait with the royal family, King and Queen. Lovely bit of drama from Kalpesh.
Call.
An immediate call from
And
Kate.
pass.
She wants to see a flop, so we're going to peel one off.
King high or queen high flop could be the end of Kate Sherameta.
Don't look at me.
Yeah.
5. Jack.
Oh, it's more than
10.
that. It's 2
Triple bet.
overcards and a straight draw.
I think I'm going to have to push all in.
She's
All in.
gone all in. There is no way Paul Martin can fold this.
I don't need these anymore, do I?
3-6.
I've got to call.
He's got to call. And Kate Sheremetter finds herself
2006.
drawing to 6 cards. She's going to need one of the 2 remaining aces or a 9.
2006.
That way she makes her straight. And of course it
Okay,
could still
cards,
go
please.
wrong then if she got an ace.
No.
Her opponent could still find the board to pair and he makes a full house. She is drawing thin.
Paul Martin has more chips than Kate Sheremetter. Her tournament hangs by a thread.
Walk into aces.
Here comes the turn card.
Always
Do you lose to them?
Jack.
The jack. That takes the ace away from Kate Sheremetter.
Yeah.
Has to be a 9.
Really nice.
Has to be a 9. Just 4 cards.
And a 2.
9 would have been.
Well, when you run into aces in a 4-handed game, that's what you call some sort of bad luck. She said it, I've just blown my brains out. But that bet on the flop was quite brilliant. She had a big enough hand, the pot was big enough. She moved all in, took the decision out of her opponent's hands. You can only call if you've got a monster. He did have, and Kate Sheremetter doing the long and painful walk.
I went mental. No, I went all in with 2 overcards and an open-ended straight draw and walked straight into a pair of pocket aces, which is what I always do. I always walk into aces. Yeah, I'm not happy, but I should have played it differently, but that's easy to say in retrospect.
One down and 3 to go at the celebpoker.com Fast and Furious Challenge. Kalpesh Patel is our chip leader. He is flying high, while Brian McFadden, he is flying without wings, or without chips anyway. Roy, can he survive this?
Well, fast and furious it is, but it's been more like crash, bang, wallop. And Brian McFadden has done himself so much damage. A man with no brakes, he simply does not know how to pass a hand pre-flop, and he has paid the price down to an absolute slither of cheese, 1,300 in chips. He does look the weakest link, and we could soon be heads up despite just 20 hands being played.
You don't just have to beat your rivals at this table, you have to beat the clock. Fast and Furious means you only have 30 seconds to make your decision. Brian McFadden on the button gives up his cards, so our 2 chip leaders go head to head. And Paul Martin has lowly connectors, but in the small blind he may fancy a peep at this. Will Kalpesh make him pay a tax?
No raise.
Chip leader on chip second. How bizarre if these 2 went to war.
8.
And there was,
Jack,
wow, there could be, look at this, 2 pair jacks and 8s for Kalpesh.
I'll bet.
And this is a rare misstep by Paul Martin.
6.
I'm afraid the cocktail waiter has just dropped a very expensive bottle of vodka. Because
And raise. 15 more.
Kalpesh Patel's raised up here because he believes Paul Martin has an ace. He hasn't. He has absolutely nothing 5 high.
When I put my shades on,
Yeah.
was that a tell?
No, I've just got a good hand.
I got a crap hand.
I ain't got a clue what you
Yes.
think.
Because I won't put them on again if it was.
Kalpesh
2
Patel
to play.
under the gun. He's found a hand he
11.
can play. Ace-9 suited.
All in.
Well, Brian's found something.
Brian has gone all in.
18 total.
What's the worst of it? But the raise might be good enough to win it here and now.
Well, I cannot see Kalpesh folding a reasonably big
It's
ace
18 total. 18 total.
against a player who he knows is loose.
Oh, I win now. Seriously, I was
7 deuces.
I was going to bet 700. I wish you called 11. I was like, hey,
The money is in.
oh, I'm in front.
Kalpesh pleasantly surprised to know that he is in front.
I thought I was.
There's not a great deal in it. These
60-40 scenario. There is your 4 to 6 on favourite.
Oh, really?
I better pretend I was expecting it.
It's that grey-black thing again.
It's the first time
Now,
I've done it.
Brian McFadden all in, all his chips in the
10,
middle.
Queen, 7.
He has picked up a draw.
Well, mathematically, he's a better price favourite now than he was at the outset.
An ace
King.
or a nine. Well, that king.
Jack would kill me.
Yeah, but what king was it? It's the king of diamonds. Kalpesh has a flush draw and a straight draw.
That'll do.
And a 3.
Brian McFadden survives.
You got me back. You promised me you would.
Cancel that taxi. Time to hang on.
Nice to see Kalpesh and Brian having a laugh about it, but that really was edge of your chair moment.
I first played poker when I was 18. It's about, I don't want to say how many years ago, but a few years ago. It was just purely through a friend who was playing, and I sat down and thought, well, I can play this. And to my surprise, I couldn't. I got into seriously about 4 years ago when I started understanding the game a little bit more. It's very difficult to go in with a strategy until I find out who I'm playing against and what kind of people they are, and what kind of players they are. But I'd like to think I'll start off quite aggressively and just see where it takes me. I'll be over the moon, no, I'll be overjoyed, of course. You're always happy when you win a tournament, be it a $10 tournament or a $50,000 tournament. I don't think it matters in the value, but winning is everything.
Cards are out there, and it is going to be Paul Martin with a Queen 7.
That's the computer hand.
Yeah. Well, that one just crashed into the middle of the green base, and it's low connectors again for Kalpesh. They've got him into trouble before. He flat calls with them. But Brian says no raise, and understandably so, with the 10 and the 3.
We're still seeing a fair few flops, but this is about to end when the blinds go up again. Yes, it is. That's a good flop
Check.
for Brian.
Check.
Brian just checking. And that is a 7 for Kalpesh.
400.
It's bottom pair. He bets it. Does Brian have any faith in his 10?
It's a scary looking board, isn't it? 2 diamonds, 2 hearts. Straight draws out there.
We are going to see a river card.
Potential straights out there. Changes nothing.
Well, it's given Brian 2 pairs.
Kalpesh is doing what he's got to do, which is bet again.
1200.
And like you say, the 3 gave Brian McFadden 2 pairs. Now he certainly can't pass.
He's gone all in. Kalpesh has gone a long way down this road. He may think, I'm going to have a look at this.
Another 2100.
Can't see it.
Ten seconds left, the clock ticking away. And
Pass.
he has given it up. And Brian McFadden is on a poker trampoline. He was down to 800 chips. Now he's a factor in this. It is all change on the celebpoker.com Fast and Furious Challenge leaderboard. Kalpesh Patel was way out in front, but now it is very much a 3-horse race. Well done, Brian McFadden, shown great tenacity and durability. He's back in this.
Well, 32 hands played. The blinds will shortly be going up to 300 and 600, and that is a crash bang wallop zone. And who is driving the Volvo and who is driving the Skoda, we will find out.
Our chip leader, Kalpesh Patel, is on the button, and he will speak first.
Raise.
Button raised.
1200 total.
Oh dear, Brian McFadden, the celeb poker representative, wakes up with a monster.
Call.
Just a call. Oh dear.
And
The money's
Paul Martin.
going in.
Yep, it's ace-queen. This could be a bloodbath.
A raise and a call. And you're holding ace-queen, 3-handed. What does he elect to do?
I'll go with him.
We raised all in.
All in. Now that makes it pretty easy for Kalpesh.
Well, if Kalpesh didn't realise his 3-5 wasn't good pre-flop, I think he knows now.
Kalpesh, well, he asked the question. He's just had an answer.
4500 more. Pass.
And Brian surely will call this. He has about 1,000 more chips than Paul Martin.
Indeed, he can call and lose and still be in the tournament.
And we know he plays the short stack pretty well. He was down to 800 chips once. He's pulling a few faces. The clock is ticking down.
Pass.
He's past pocket 9s. That was astonishing. Well, Brian McFadden now on the button. Took a bit of a bruising.
I think what made it worse, Grub, was he showed the pair of nines. He's told the table now he's going to pass those kind of big hands to the face for a re-raise all in.
Raise 12.
Raise to 1200 total.
Well, he is raising from the button. That's good poker. Paul Martin can't
Pass.
call with a 4-9. What has Cal Pesh got? He's got a suited King 10. Now, he may think he can outplay Brian after the flop, having seen that weakness in the last hand. And a flop is something we're going to see right now. 3 cards. Patel would like to see a king, a 10 or hearts. Well, he has got a king, only 1 heart, and Brian McFadden
Check.
has made aces.
Well, Brian maybe should slow down here. Small bet, or preferably a
1200.
check, but no.
Cal Pesh has twice as many chips as Brian, but that situation would be reversed at the moment if all the money went in. Does he like his king?
He's running out of time. The lights are flashing.
Raise.
He's raising. Surely no way Brian can lay these down.
Now, once again, Brian is clear favourite,
3,000 more.
mathematically speaking. He has chips involved in a pot. Will he lay this one down as well?
Yeah, all in is what it means to me.
I don't know how many chips you have.
Time
Call.
ticking away. He's called.
Calling the 3000.
Surely he's pot committed now. He should have gone all in, Roy.
Well, absolutely. Monstrous part. Neither player has enough to pass now.
So it needs to be running hearts for Cal Pesh. A
Well,
king.
let's not forget, all the money's not yet in.
No.
But he's looking for a king, a 10, or at the very least a heart.
Turn card. It's a 7. That really makes no difference.
All in
Does
and a
take
call.
the flush away from Cal Pesh. An immediate call of Brian, small all in. And now he is dead to a 10 or a king.
Well, it's also going to take the chip lead away from Cal Pesh. And from nothing, Brian McFadden, if he avoids a king or a 10, will be chip leader.
Here's the river card. It's a painless 3. And Brian McFadden has put Cal Pesh to the sword.
Upside down like it does on the net.
Yeah, that happens all the time, doesn't it?
Nice hand, Brian.
Well, it is certainly all change on the leaderboard. Brian McFadden, who was once down to 800 chips, talk about touching felt, he's now our chip leader with nearly 12,000. And Roy, how is Patel going to be feeling?
Quite sick, you would imagine. I think he pretty much did it to himself there. In the middle of all that, let's not forget, Brian McFadden made a very big pass with a pair of 9s early on, and he's come back, like you say, from 800 in chips. Paul Martin, he's doing very well to duck and dive and stay out of trouble, and I think just about make him favourite.
We did actually do this.
30 seconds and counting for our players to make their decision. And the first person to make a decision will be Paul Martin, who has been blessed with a 7-2 in spades.
Raise.
Yeah, well, you can say what you want about the cards. This is a great raise, and this is what you need to do in this kind of format of
1200
poker.
total.
Forget the cards, play your position.
Yeah, I believe the word is cojones. Now, Cal Pesh would have liked his
Pass.
ace rag before, but not now. Brian McFadden,
Call.
We have a small problem, a player which doesn't pass pre-flop.
yeah, a bluff raise with 7-2, magnificent, unless you're playing against Brian McFadden. But look at that. It's an
Well-
up and down straight draw for Brian.
Remarkably, the 2-7 is leading, and the Jack-8 is, well, almost mathematically an even money shot to prevail.
Money could go in here.
Raise.
It is a raise.
We've had these two at it before, a bet and a raise, and every time
3,000
Brian
more,
has laid down.
4,500 total.
It's a big raise. 3,000 more.
No, you've announced
It's too late to announce an all-in.
That's perfect.
Brian McFadden needs a 4, a 9 or a jack or running hearts. This is a big pot, and it is
3,000
at the
more to
moment a 50-50 showdown. Or
Does
50-48, shall we say.
Does Brian want to roll the dice? He's thinking long and hard, but he doesn't have long to think. The chips are in.
Now, if Brian misses here and doesn't find one of those cards he needs, he should really bet this and bet it strong and firm.
Well, Paul Martin now has so few chips left, you can't help but feel they are going in the middle, whatever happens.
So Brian needs a 4 for a straight, a 9 for a straight, an 8 is good enough, and so is a jack. Well, 10 of spades changes nothing, but it's a spade. That means that 4, that 8, that 9, that jack must not be a spade.
Play hands, please.
Chasing it straight. No. There you go, heads. Chasing it straight.
Okay.
A 9 or a 4.
Or an 8 or a jack.
Oh yeah, anything.
And Paul Martin flushes up on the end. He didn't need it. 2 of spades, 7 of spades, pay time. And Brian McFadden, that big draw, misses completely.
I told you it's a monster in this game.
Well, I work in the cocktail industry and as a sort of cocktail entertainer. I also hold the world speed mixing record for mixing the most cocktails in 1 hour. I think it will help because I'm used to operating at optimum speed, so it's an environment I'm used to working in. I don't really have a strategy. I mean, I'm purposefully going into this with an open mind and might try and read it a bit. I might start off slow and pick it up. I've got no strategy at all. I'm just going to go and play and see what happens. It would be a wonderful surprise if I won it, and what would it mean? It would feel great. It would be great. I mean, I didn't expect to be here. Now I'm here. I'm going to make the most of the opportunity, and I'm here to win. But if I don't win, it doesn't matter. But if I do win, it'll feel great.
Brian McFadden not looking happy anymore because he has squandered nearly 10,000 chips in very short order. He's going to leave this one to the blinds, and it is Paul Martin with the short-sighted pair of aces, the ace-4. In the dark, it does look like aces. And he is certainly playing it like aces, raising with it.
1,200 total.
Very composed, Paul Martin, as well. I've got to say, he has impressed me, despite the theatrics with the glasses on and off every 2 minutes.
Has he made it cheap enough for Kalpesh?
Re-raise?
Yep.
Re-raise.
Well, not only cheap enough, he is going to re-raise. Kalpesh not blessed with a large amount of chips.
No, exactly. Oh, well, that's some sort of raise you can't re-raise.
31,000
It's an
more.
all-in move.
3,100 even.
31,000.
3,100.
Can I cash a cheque, please?
Yeah.
Make your payments, Patel.
I'm going to call you.
Okay.
Call.
That's a fantastic call, isn't
He
it?
has called. He's decided, I've got an ace, it's big enough. And this is exactly the sort of hand he'll be hoping for when the cards go over.
A raise and a re-raise, all in and a call. All about timing, and that was the right time to make that call. And this, well, this is the tournament virtually over. If Paul Martin can see his ace-4 stand up, he will have every chip in the tournament bar Brian McFadden's 2,300.
Here come those first 3 cards. Well, look at that. An up and down straight draw now for Kalpesh Patel.
Needs a 9, a jack, a queen, or an ace.
Suddenly, Paul Martin doesn't want to see an ace. Oh, there it is. 9, 10, jack, queen, king.
That is the nuts.
Nice hand.
No, it changes nothing.
That
The
changes
nuts is
nothing.
good. Kalpesh Patel
Actually, a jack and a queen would have been all right.
found a lovely looking 9 on the turn. And they say favour fortune's the brave. Well, it certainly did that. That could have been tournament over.
Well, it's not so much a leaderboard as a merry-go-round, but at the moment, it's Paul Martin riding high with more than half the chips on the table. Kalpesh Patel, he is holding his own, but Brian McFadden is in deep doo-doo. Roy, can he come back again?
Well, indeed, the chip standings have seesawed repeatedly. Brian McFadden has come back from the dead before. He's made more comebacks than Elvis Presley. But at the end of the day, this time of night, with the blind so big, who is going to pick up the big hands?
Cards in the air, and it is Kalpesh Patel, who just got a tough beat from Brian McFadden, who will be deciding what to do.
Well, how's his head? Is he wrecked? Is he tilted?
It's a button raise.
21 total.
And no messing from Brian McFadden with a suited ace-knave. He has pushed them all into the middle.
Well, Brian had 4,400 chips at the start of his hand. Kalpesh had 6,600.
Now, he knows that Brian will go all in with pretty raggy looking hands, and he is going to call.
Another 6-4 situation, 60-40, but 6-4 on Brian McFadden.
This time Brian is in front.
I'm happy enough. I'll take that.
2 live cards for Cal Pesh.
Oh, cool.
3 cards on the flop. An ace, a jack and an ace, and this one is all over.
And the second time in this tournament he's flopped a full house of aces.
Wow.
Oh, you can stop there.
Who's ahead?
Is that
Just
the,
out of interest.
Is that the second boat you flopped? It is, isn't it? Did the same with the A7. Wow.
Look at that. Quad aces
Well,
with a pair of jacks to spare.
Cal Pesh Patel took a big pot off Brian McFadden with quad 5s earlier in this game. Brian has just returned the compliment with quad aces, and that
Definitely getting the flops, isn't he?
is doom for
Well,
Cal Pesh. He is crippled.
Six to play.
The clock ticking away. 30 seconds to make your decision in the Fast and Furious Challenge format. And it is Paul Martin
Pass.
to act first. He gets out of the way. That leaves short stack Cal Pesh Patel against the
Cool.
singer
Any raise?
Brian McFadden.
No raise.
Brian doesn't really have to make much of a decision. He's going to see
Jack,
whether he hits a 6
5,
or a 9.
7.
He has
Circle
missed
back.
just
Check.
a gut shot
Check.
straight draw. He would need an 8. The
4.
turn brings not a lot of help.
I think I'll take the Jack 5 in this spot.
He could
Down.
now get a 3 to make a straight.
With 50.
Oh, Brian McFadden takes off here.
Yeah,
1,000
and
more.
Cal Pesh with a
Cool.
pair of 5s and a pair of jacks.
Or 6-3.
Cards,
Actually, a
please.
6.
He won't believe his luck when the cards are turned on their back.
He's got 2 pairs. Brian has a draw. He would need a 3 or an 8 to send Cal Pesh reeling.
And a
Oh,
jack.
it's a full house. We have certainly seen some glamour hands during this game. And Cal Pesh, who a moment ago was on his uppers, is now on the way up again. And Brian is suffering. Cal Pesh counting out his chips. Paul Martin having a beady look at how many chips there are in front of his rival. He knows he's in front, but he knows he's not in front by much, and there is plenty of work still to be done here. He gets to look first. He's got a jack of hearts and an 8 of clubs. Well, not the prettiest
Pass.
hand, and he decides not to invest any money in it.
50-50.
Cal Pesh Patel. He's raised before with a 7-2. He's got pocket queens.
Raise.
And Brian
All in and
McFadden
call.
with an ace-10
How big's yours?
has gone all in.
Well, Cal Pesh gave Brian every opportunity to pass there, which I don't think is very prudent when you've got such a big hand. But as it is, Brian woke up with a monstrous ace-10. Rarely do you see 2 such big hands collide when you're 3-handed, but they have done, and there are your percentages.
Bye-bye, baby.
Brian McFadden
You've got your
is
7
in
wide.
for all his chips. Unless he hits an ace or straightening cards, he will be off to the loser's lounge. That is no real help at all for the ace-10. Cal Pesh thinking, you can't get lucky on me again, can you? Let's see what the turn card brings. Another king.
Down to an ace and only an ace.
Has to be one of the 3 remaining aces to keep Brian in this game. No good.
Cheers, lads.
Kings and queens, good enough to dispatch
Best of luck.
the solo singer.
Improved as the game progressed, but sadly Brian McFadden has sung his last song.
Thanks, guys. Played a few good hands and I got a few really lucky hands. And I suppose when it gets to that stage and it just kept changing the lead and the chips, and it's just down to luck really. And I got my last hand was one of the best hands I'd had in a while, ace-10, and I said I was going to go all in beforehand. I was just unlucky that he picked up his queens because he said he was going to call me before he even seen his cards. So I was just unlucky there.
Well, it certainly took some doing, but we are now heads up at the celebpoker.com Fast and Furious Challenge. And it is Paul Martin from Team Poker Heaven facing up to Kalpesh Patel of the TGF team.
Well, there's your chip pie. Kalpesh Patel has a marginal lead, 13,000 in chips. Paul Martin, 11,000. The blinds are 500 and 1,000. Expect to see action from the flagful.
Here come the cards, and it certainly doesn't take long to dish out just 4 of them. 2 players heads up, and Kalpesh Patel is looking at a suited ace-5.
2,500 total.
He kicks it up, and what will Paul Martin find? He's found the Kojak. It could all go in here, Roy.
It could indeed. It would be a good old-fashioned pitch and toss.
15 seconds on the clock. He announces a re-raise. It's going to have to be huge to get rid of Kalpesh with an ace-5.
Okay, 2,005. Let's put another 500 in there. 2.5 more.
So it was raised to 2,500. It's now been re-raised to 5,000 to go.
Yeah, but it's double the last bet total.
Is it really?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
OK, says Kalpesh.
Cool.
And we are going to see a flop. Now, this is a massive pot already.
Well, there's 10,000 in the middle, meaning these 2 players only have 14 back between them.
They've both missed it.
I bet everything. All in.
I bet everything all in.
Well, it kind of smacks of weakness, but at the same time, how can you call with an ace high?
There are no hearts out there for Kalpesh. There's no ace out there. There's no sort of draw.
I'll pass.
And he passes it. Paul Martin. Supreme poker there, Roy.
Well, Kalpesh Patel passes the best hand. It's very understandable, but what it has done has left him very much crippled, down to 6,000 now. And Paul Martin, courtesy of Power Poker, is up to 18,000 in chips.
2 players at the celebpoker.com Fast and Furious Challenge.
I think Paul Martin, the cocktail man, has been more composed during this game.
He has certainly laid down some good hands.
A raise.
Raise.
Not this time. He is bumping it up with the Jack 8.
Total.
2,500 total. 15 to call.
Kalpesh doesn't look happy, but
All in.
he's
Re-raise,
got the
all
walking
in.
sticks, and they could be enough to cripple Paul Martin if he calls this all in bet.
7.5.
What's that leave me with?
7,000 more.
What have I got?
Well, you've got to do your own sums, I'm afraid, Mr. Martin. But it's 7,000 more on you. Suspect it's going to leave you with about 4,000 if you call and lose.
10 seconds to act.
The clock ticking down. 5, 4.
I'm going to have a rush of blood and call you with
He's called it.
absolutely nothing.
It is a rush of blood,
Well,
but
he's
we are
gonna
off
be-
to the races.
He's
Yeah.
going to be delighted with what he sees.
It's
An
pretty
under
bad.
pair to his Jack 8.
I think it's really bad.
Oh, that's okay.
That's OK, says Paul Martin. And if he manages to sink these 7s, it will be OK, because this one will be all over.
As long as I hit a card.
3
Jack or
cards to
8
come.
required for Paul Martin, and it's not there.
But he's got a straight draw. A 10 would give him a straight.
Or a 10.
So 1 more out, but he's lost 3 of his cards. And it does need to be a Jack, an 8 or a 10 on the river. Will he get rid of Kalpesh? He has done. It's a straight.
Paul Martin, the cocktail man, shaken but not stirred. Got a 10 on the river to take this one down.
Cheers.
And Kalpesh Patel, the cruelest of cruel beats. You prefer your opponent to flop something rather than river you, as it was. No cast, lost in defeat. Kalpesh Patel, game brave,
Yeah.
but not today.
With that great result for Paul Martin, Team Poker Heaven have taken a commanding lead in our contest. The other teams, they're in danger of being left behind, but a win next time could change all that.
Some unfortunate river cards, some fortunate river cards. It's the way of the game. Today, the luck wasn't on my side right at the end, and I've come out second.
I made an outrageous call at the end, and I just called on the basis that I thought I might have 2 live cards against maybe an ace-king or an ace-queen or something like that, and I called and he had a pair, but they were 2 overcards, and actually I caught the straight, so luck. Bit of luck in the end, but you know, you got to go for it. I think it's fantastic for us. I mean, you know, when I saw Poker Heaven win the first tee, the Poker Heaven team manager said to me, right, no pressure on you. And I thought, well, actually, yeah, pressure on me. But hey, if I go out first, at least they're still going to be in a good position. But to have won this heat as well puts us in great shape overall. So thrilled.